We all know the Oregon coast is beautiful, but with that beauty comes great risk. It sits on one of the most dangerous fault lines in the world. In part 2 of our special series, Seismic Shift, KTVZ's Claire Elmer visited OSU's Wave Research Lab to see how scientists are using powerful simulations to better understand tsunamis and how their research could help save lives in our coastal communities.
Lee, I spent a couple of days at the coast and Oregon State University's Wave Research Lab. Fascinating stuff there. They're leading the world in tsunami research. But first, let's take a look at how tsunamis impact the coast. And who better to tell us than our own scientists, Shannon Brady and John Carroll.
It has been over 300 years since the last major earthquake rocked the region, and although there is no way to correctly time out the next one, the clock is ticking and Oregon is in the line of fire.
And while most people have heard of the San Andreas Fault, the fault closest to Oregon may well be the epicenter for the next big one. It's called the Cascadia Subduction Zone.
The Cascadia Subduction Zone is a fault line that lies roughly 100 miles off the Pacific Coast shoreline. Should a major earthquake along the fault line occur, coastal regions would be most impacted.
A little-known byproduct of the shaking is called liquefaction, and it can cause catastrophic damage.
Liquefaction happens like this. A major earthquake occurs on the ocean floor. Immediately, due to the intense shaking along the loose, sandy shoreline and how heavily saturated the ground is, the surface would lose its strength and sink. This could cause structures, trees, and anything else atop the shoreline to sink up to 6 feet.
And if that wasn't bad enough, well, the tsunami off the coast has begun. Now, what occurs with that is we see offshore that a series of waves are building and pull the water away from the coast. That's called drawback. Now, the next phase of this is the inundation, where waves get larger and larger as they approach the coast, energy is forced inland, and the waves crash on shore.
A devastating tsunami could occur within 10 to 15 minutes after the initial shakes, and the coastlines would be overrun by a powerful wave of devastation.
But the first wave isn't always the last or the strongest. Multiple waves would likely hit the coast, and the largest of these could reach heights up to 100 feet. The water coming on shore will surge inland. This graphic shows the inland push of water.
Fortunately, in Oregon, there are cliffs and mountains near the coastline that will slow down the eastern progression of the water, but the damage to the immediate coast would be incredible.
The combination of the liquefaction process, weakening of any structural footings, and the surge of water inland, the damage from this big one will be catastrophic.
Large portions of the coast, including bridges, homes, power stations, sewage plants, and much more, would be devastated for the days, weeks, and even months to follow.
Thank you, John and Shannon. Now, let's see how those impacts are being simulated in a controlled environment. For researchers at OSU's Wave Lab in Corvallis, tsunamis aren't just a theory, they're a force to understand. Using live model testing, they can simulate how real tsunami waves might behave.
We study different aspects of tsunamis, from how the tsunamis are generated, how they propagate, and as well how they interact with the coastal structures. If we know how the tsunami arrives, we can translate that into what are the fastest routes or safest routes for people or resources to evacuate the coastline.
It's complex science with a simple goal, saving lives and livelihoods. Researchers here say stronger coastal communities make for a stronger Oregon.
When you have an improvement in the resilience of a community, that impacts the economy and the quality of life of the rest of the population, whether they are subject to that hazard or not.
Turning science into action also means bridging the gap between research and real-world awareness.
How do you help inform communities and the public about this? We try to do something that is called a community science, and it's basically understanding how they understand risk, what are their ideas about tsunami risk. Our work is not only scientific or just like very technical, but also applicable to local communities. So we do this through meetings with them. It's going to happen at some point. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in 30 years, maybe in 100 years, maybe in 400 years. We don't know, and nobody knows yet. So the best thing that we can do is be prepared. It is important not to be scared, no, but to be prepared.
The urgency is clear. Geologic data says these massive events typically occur between every 100 and 1,100 years. The last major earthquake along the Cascadia subduction zone struck in the year 1700. More than 300 years ago. I spoke with one of the world's top geomorphologists to learn more.
There's actually been a tremendous amount of research in the last 5 years on Cascadia to improve our understanding of the frequency of these events and how big they are.
When the earthquake and tsunami hit, how would that affect the physical characteristics of the coastline?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So during the actual earthquake itself, we can expect the coastline to subside over pretty much the entire length of the Oregon coast. Then you had the tsunami itself that would eventually reach the coast and begin inundating low-lying areas, coastal communities, etc. And of course the tsunami itself would actually result in catastrophic destruction of whatever's in its way. This entire landscape here would be completely stripped of what we see here now.
The devastation could isolate entire towns for months. With extensive landslides and Highway 101 expected to be cut off, preparing coastal residents is a high priority.
Geology doesn't adhere to any sort of a timetable, but this could be tomorrow, this could be in 50 years, but we do know it is coming, so we have to prepare, and we do prepare like it could happen tomorrow. Sometimes people can't wrap their head around it, and they choose to just, well, it's too big a thing to handle, we just won't do anything at all. Some preparation is always better than no preparation.
So how do they help people prepare? They have all kinds of resources, from guides, pamphlets, and detailed maps. And preparedness doesn't stop at the shoreline. How would you, describe your role and what your organization focuses on?
Yeah, our agency really focuses on the long-term land use planning side of things, so kind of thinking about how we can prepare our communities today for the event so that when it does arrive, they're more resilient afterwards. They can recover and bounce back a lot faster. I believe it's the most studied fault line in the world, so we have a lot more information now, but it's getting that information from scientists into regulations, into communities' everyday lives.
Tsunamis are the deadliest and most expensive disasters on the planet. Based on Oregon's resilience plan, let's take a look at these numbers. Authorities predict coastal residents are expected to be without critical utilities for months, if not years. Power, 3 to 6 months, drinking water and sewer 1 to 3 years, and critical evacuation roads 6 to 12 months. Even healthcare facilities will be closed for up to 3 years.
They expect it'll take years probably to get things back up and operating. Because of the challenging nature, it'll be basically like camping on the Oregon coast for a while.
Inland communities, including Central Oregon, will become vital refuge zones for those displaced after a Cascadia event. While the coast braces for impact, Central Oregon prepares for evacuees. Because when the ground shifts, we're all connected. Claire Elmer, KTVZ News.
And as Claire mentioned, we traveled across the state to bring you multiple perspectives. Our mission over the next 2 weeks is not to scare you, but to inform you. We learned so much, we've created a special section on KTVZ.com and KTVZ Plus. There you can find extended interviews and interactive maps to see evacuation routes for tsunamis.